This idea isn't new. But the conversation that we're reviewing that goes over the idea, oh yeah, this is brand new. And it relates to something that I kind of had an idea about in my head for the past few years, and because it's been in the back of my mind, and because this information from JD Burke and this discussion from Cam Robinson kind of goes over it in a pretty nice way, I wanted to make a video about how the Vancouver Canucks were apparently going to get Dylan Larkin. They didn't, but at least they were trying to. Hear me out. Okay, so this has all been started on Twitter because of a tweet made by Taj. I think most Canucks fans know who Taj is, especially if you're on Twitter. He usually tweets about the Canucks in regards to things that are going on with their team, and he usually frames his tweets to portray the Vancouver Canucks management in a certain way. That's besides the point, but he was tweeting about a story written in the Hockey News, and the quote that he pulls from this story says that apparently, Jim Benning really didn't want to get Elias Pettersson. Ryan Kennedy, a guy also in the Hockey News, states that this was echoed by other sources as well. So, as you could recognize, this tweet kinda did go a little bit viral amongst Canucks Twitter because, oh my goodness, the GM didn't want to take Pettersson? Well, JD Burke kinda chimed in and he gave his 2 cents on this idea, and he kinda really does a good job at defending Benning in this situation. I'm not sure if anyone will believe me on this front, but that's hardly even a big knock on Benning. Not much of one at all. Craig Button made this point on Rink-Wide this Saturday on TSN 1040. You can't be a scout if you're a GM. It doesn't work. That's precisely why, though. People want to see the system stay in place for the Canucks. Collaborative process has been effective. For the first time in franchise history, the team drafts well. Go figure. It's genuinely to Benning's credit when he acquiesces to the scouts on items like, say, the Vasily Podkolzin pick. The GM has a lot of say over the first-round pick, and given the impact that has had on their job security, rightly so. Otherwise, let your scouts do the work. So, at the end of the day, JD Burke is saying in this little conversation here, okay, Benning didn't want to take Pettersson, but that's because Benning was focused on NHL stuff. Benning was the guy who may have wanted Cody Glass because he saw him a little bit more, but at the end of the day, he was the guy who said, okay, scouts, Judd Brackett, you guys are saying that this guy's the best guy, let's take him. So, there's that perspective. Leave it up to Ball Hockey Bure to get the conversation proceeding a little bit further. He replies saying this, so scouts pushed for Petey and Podkolzin, Benning seemed very high on Juolevi, while Hughes was a no-brainer. Was Virtanen Benning's guy, or the scouts? How about Besser? JD Burke then replies to this tweet with the information that I've kind of been seeing a lot of trickle in over the past few years, but was really reignited when he tweeted this out right here. Jake Virtanen was a Benning pick. Belief among just about everyone I've spoken to in the industry is that the scouting infrastructure in place wanted Dylan Larkin in that spot. Here's a tweet from Grady Sass replying to it. He's a TSN bar down person. He says that the ownership wanted the local boy, which was easy to convey to Jim since he was just hired. Remember meat and potatoes? And that's kind of the narrative that I saw a lot of people talking about too. Once Mike Gillis was fired and Jim Benning came into the seat, ownership was like, hey, you know, we kind of want a hometown guy as the first pick in the 2014 draft. It's why the Vancouver Canucks were so high on trading for that first overall pick to acquire Sam Reinhart. Because Sam Reinhart would have accomplished the same thing as Jake Virtanen in that they're both hometown guys, they both would have been top picks, and they both would have made an impact on the Canucks. They wanted a hometown player, and that incentive was another big push to Benning as to drafting Jake Virtanen instead of who the scouts would have wanted to take instead, which in this case would have been Dylan Larkin. This is Cam Robinson's tweet replying to JD Burke's tweet. Building off of this, for some time it has been known that the Gillis and Gilman regime targeted certain player assets and that Dylan Larkin was high on their wish list. when the change of helm occurred, the priorities of the new regime shifted the direction of the draft list. This was the result. So the implication here is that if the Vancouver Canucks never fired Mike Gillis, and he stayed in the driver's seat by the time the 2014 NHL entry draft came around, they would have drafted Dylan Larkin instead of Virtanen. Now that's something really interesting to me because, as a Red Wings guy as well, I know the impact that a Dylan Larkin can have on a hockey team. He's pretty much the Detroit captain already, just without the C on his sweater, and he has consistently been one of the better Red Wings over the past few seasons, if not the absolute best. He's 23 years old and coming off of a 53-point campaign. He had 73 points the year before that on the Red Wings. There's a lot to like when it comes to Dylan Larkin. It's really funny because Dylan Larkin to me was always somebody who was going to be really great. Sure, he was ranked 15th by ISS, 14th by Future Considerations, and 14th by McKeen's, but before he made the NHL in 2015-16, there was talk that Dylan Larkin was legitimately one of the best up-and-coming centers in the National Hockey League. I remember when Craig Button made his top prospects of 2015 list, he had Connor McDavid as number 1, Jack Eichel as number 2, and Dylan Larkin was number 3, and the gap between those three was not that big. I remember Craig Button saying specifically that Dylan Larkin had the potential to impact the game the same way that Eichel did, and that to me always left an impression. So, even though he was a guy who was projected to go 15th, and he went 15th in the NHL draft, if the Vancouver Canucks drafted this guy at 6, there really only are like 1 or 2 players that you could argue could or should have been taken instead, those being Nylander and Ehlers. Larkin, though, has the most points out of all of them, and playing on the worst team by far, that's certainly a feat to accomplish. It's just really crazy to me how the Vancouver Canucks legitimately could have had Dylan Larkin on their team if they decided to not fire Mike Gillis and hire Jim Benning. Of course, though, hindsight is 20/20. If Larkin makes the Canucks in 2 years, he has a better impact than Jake does. Do they win more games? Do they miss out on Petey? Do they miss out on Quinn Hughes? The whole realm of the dynamic changes when you take a look at inserting one player from one team onto another. As for the Red Wings, if there was no Larkin available at 15, who would they have taken instead? If they wanted an American center to suit up for their team, then hey, you got other guys that would have been available there too. Sonny Milano went right after Dylan Larkin. I know he is not necessarily a center, but he's an American who was coming over there. Alex Tuck was there. Nick Schmaltz was a few picks after. Maybe he was their guy. Obviously, though, it's really weird to try to envision the Red Wings without a Dylan Larkin, because if they didn't have Dylan Larkin today, then my goodness, this team would be way worse than it already was. They were already the worst team the NHL has seen in years. It's tough to imagine them winning even fewer games. If you want to take a look at best case scenario, though, both of these teams missing out on David Pastrnak, the Vancouver Canucks doing that twice, is certainly something that intrigues my interest as well, but that's a video for another day completely. In conclusion, though, if the Vancouver Canucks were able to get Larkin instead of Virtanen, if everything else remains the same and they still get Petey, they still get Hughes, they still get Besser, then wow, how does this Vancouver Canucks team look with JT Miller, Dylan Larkin, and Brock Besser on your team? 3 legitimate, like, Olympic potential players if the Olympics happens and NHL players are going to go. You have Quinn Hughes on there as well, add that to the list, number 4. Maybe a Thatcher Demko goes in as a younger goalie at number 5. The Vancouver Canucks all of a sudden become an American powerhouse, even though they're here on the West Coast in BC. Having a Larkin, a Petey, and a Bo, and a Gaudette as your center core, that's just crazy to me. You move Pettersson to the wing and you have a first line of Miller, Larkin, and Petey. That sounds awesome. And because of that, you have either Toffoli or Brock Besser slotted down to the 3rd line, and all of a sudden your team looks so incredibly offensively stacked. But not saying that Jake Virtanen is a bad pick, it's just that Dylan Larkin would have been a better one. But with hindsight, with the Canucks being the way they are now, I like the team today as it is, and if there's any team that needs a Larkin, I would say Detroit probably needs him a little bit more. So that's our discussion that we had here today. Comment down below what you think about this topic. Talk about Dylan Larkin, talk about the Red Wings, talk about who the Red Wings would have taken if Larkin wasn't there. I hope you enjoyed this video. Search on Trolls99, and bye.